Hello. Today we're going to learn how to modify Age of Empires 2. This is a issue that is near and dear to my heart. Um, there were not a lot of gentlemen who taught me how to modify Age of Empires. I had to learn this process myself. And it was difficult at times. There were many years where I did not progress and learn anything. Uh, you will not have these problems. I will teach you. I will teach you everything that I know, which is not everything there is to know. There are other men who know more than me, but you would be hard pressed to find these gentlemen. So, I will attempt to teach you everything I know in regards to modding Age of Empires. And this is the first video. So, let's begin. How the hell do I modify Age of Empires? We're going to be using Advanced Genie Editor, which is already located on your computer if you have downloaded Age of Empires through Steam. So, I'm going to find where Steam is located on my computer. Local C disk, program files, times 86, Steam, Steam apps, common AOE2DE. If you've ever used or ever tried to find anything in a Steam folder, you'll know that there are a shit ton of folders. So many folders that it is confusing to go through. So remember, this is where it is. Alright, you're going to go to your Tools Builds folder. And in here you will see a multitude of tools that you can use to help you learn more about Age of Empires. Today we're going to be using Advanced Genie Editor. Click on the program and open it up. I've already got it on the desktop here. I've got a shortcut. Here we go. This is where you set the correct files for your dataset and all that jazz. If you don't want to know how to set these files, if you want to just look at the dataset immediately, click this button, then hit open. You are then in your Age of Empires 2 dataset. Do not save this. Do not save on this file if you change anything. If you want to change something, save it to a new file. Alright, that is how to just quick get in there. Let's go over everything you want to know. This is where you set, this is where you, certain version of Age of Empires was. So if you were on the Steam version, 2013, you would pick Forgotten, African, and Rajas. If you were using Return of Rome or whatever the first Age of Empires was, you would click that. And then there's your secondary definitive edition. These are for Galactic Battlegrounds, which you don't need to worry about. This is where you'll set your data set. The data set is always titled Empires2 underscore X2 underscore P1. This is what you name your data set. And they go, well, we'll talk about the structure of the files later. Language file location. This is where you set your language files for Age of Empires that are not modded. And then this is where you would set your language files that are modded. So if I were to go in here, we'll go over the folder structure later, but this is where your modded string files go. This is where your path for your DRS folder is. This is where graphics and sounds go. Be sure not to select your graphics folder. That will be selected later. It is your DRS folder and not the graphics folder inside the DRS folder. So Just going to hit cancel on there because I've already got it set. Now this is where you set your loose SLP files inside the DRS graphics file. And that will be for your SLP files like dragons and flags, goats, whatever skins you got. And then I've never messed with these at all, these palettes. Other men know more about this. I don't know anything. Alright, so we've got our data set. We're going to open it up. And then that's that. That is your open data set. And then this is the old data set. But here we go. This is your modded data set ready to go, ready to save and if you wanted to. Now we're going to go over folder structure. So we've got to put our mods in Age of Empires 2 DE with this long number for some reason. And under mods, local. And then this is where you store your local mods. This is mods that are not complete or being worked on in progress or mods that you're ready to upload. This is where mods go that you've already subscribed to. Let's see, I've subscribed to Game of Thrones and Clash of Kings. Shout out to that wonderful scenario. Skyrim Diplomacy. Never played that, but I've heard good things. It's got its own IGN article, by the way. So I imagine it's good. Alright, here we go. Icy and Fire, main folder. I got my thumbnail. It's called thumbnail.png. I got my info. This is where it says it's unpublished, but that is, in fact, published. I believe there are men who know more about this than I do. They could tell you why it says unpublished. Alright, but then resources. This is where everything that's important about your mod goes into the resources folder. This is language files. There are usually more than this. Usually a whole long list, but I'm in the process of changing some, so I'm gonna have to make all these files again. So that's why I don't have them all in there right now. But anyway, your DAT folder, the number one important thing. This is where your data file goes. This is where all the magic happens. This is where the juice, the rules. This is where the rules go. This is where some extra JSON files go. Perhaps you wanted to modify the number of civilizations available. This is how you would do it. You would go in here and you would erase and rename everything that you wanted. So I wanted 8. I've got 8 in here. I kept them named the same because I end up changing the names in the string file anyway. So it is pretty much not worth it to me to change it here. DRS, this is where our pictures go. This is where our sounds go. This is where I got some special sounds. These are sounds in the game. These are not sounds in the lobby. These are not sounds that play before the game starts. DRS graphics, this is where your loose SLP files go. We got SMX files here. It's SLX Studio. You can find more about SLX Studio online. I'll leave a link for a direct download. That will be a pain for you to go find if you don't know anything. So I'll take care of that for you. This is an SMX file that we've opened up in SLX Studio, which we can then look through. This graphic was made by a gentleman called Arian9605. Actually, I believed he's changed the numbers after his name, but I don't remember what those are now. So those are his old numbers. Perhaps you can find him. Anyway, he made this. And this is good work. I think this guy made this to get a job at Age of Empires. I don't know if he succeeded, but damn, this looks nice. Look at this. professional. I can't. Age of Empires didn't make this. I can't tell. Anyway, this is a upgraded Heavy Scorpion. We've added the file and we put it in here so we can add it to our mod. Alright, now we've got a particle folder. I'm not very good at particles in Age of Empires. I don't understand the system fully. If you want to know more about particle systems, you need to talk to Thief. TDP, I believe his username is. He knows all about this jazz with his multiple resource buff mod. Multiple resource buff mod, yeah, by Thief something. Sorry, I forgot your username. If you want to know more about particles, check out that mod and maybe send him a message and say, "Hey, can you teach me?" Anyway, this is where your scenario goes. This is where if you made a custom scenario for your mod, you would then put it in here. So if they were to download it, click custom scenario, this thing would be in their list at the top. This is where you put sounds uh, before the game starts. After the game, music folder. I've got 2 lobby songs. That means when you're sitting in the lobby, you've hit and ready, you're waiting for the host to start the game, this is what's playing. Now it says it cycles through this randomly, but I've noticed that it only plays one or the other on repeat and never switches. Maybe somebody can fix that. This is that will play when you lose the game, or not when you lose the game. When you're in the statistics screen, looking at how many kills you've gotten or whatever. This is what plays. Lose. This is if you were to win and you were looking at the statistics. If you wanted to have a sound that played when you lost the game, you need to put this in your DRS sounds folder. Like when that screen pops up that says you have lost or whatever. And then this is where you put some pictures that you can change without a secondary mod. I've tried to change as many things as I could. I've changed the picture that plays when the game starts. So if you're in a game and the host had hit start and the countdown went to 0, this is the picture that would pop up. These are these pop up when you're on the civilization selection screen. Haven't added anything to this game mode. You could add a special game mode, but that requires a lot of steps, and well, I'm not prepared to go over that right now. This is where you would add pictures to your tech when you would pictures to the civilization selection screen. So I would say perhaps I was on random civ and I clicked the button, it would then pop up, and then these pictures would play under Franks, Chinese, etc. And then these are the emblems that this is the uh, emblem that pops up in the middle of your screen on your taskbar at the bottom here. Like if you had a villager and it was working, it would say villager right here. This is where this little picture will pop up. No, 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 no. These pictures are actually, um, again, on the civilization selection screen. Everything I've changed is on the civilization selection screen. If you want to change anything else, you need a secondary mod called a user interface mod, which we will now go over. So I'm going to go back to my local. I'm going to look at Icing Fire UI. Stands for user interface. This is the thumbnail, info, and then this is the folder that changes pictures on your screen in game. You'll need a textures, and then I've got extra folders in here because I plan to change more things. So if you wanted to go through any of this and look at it, you're welcome to. I mean, I really don't need to go into much detail here, but yeah. When you pick Byzantines, this is the thing that will pop up in the top right, etc., etc. Look through that for more information. And there are better user interface mods that change more things. So, again, find all the information you want to know. Alright, we're going to go back. to Advanced Genie Editor. So I got my mod files all set up correctly, and I'm ready to begin modding. So I've set everything correctly. I've got it in the correct folder. I've got the data set. I've got Age of Empires strings. I've got my strings. I've got the DRS. I've got the DRS graphics. And I don't even need to worry about that. So I'm going to hit OK. Alright, let's look this bad boy over. I like to go top bottom. So you like got options. Never pushed any of these buttons in 10, 15 years. So don't worry about it. I have used this button. Show icon, show graphic. This is it. If I click this off, that disappears. Pop it back on so I can see what I'm doing. This is to open up a secondary data set. Perhaps I want to change something, and I say, well, how do Age of Empires do it? So I'm going to click this button, and then this will allow me to copy between the files. So I wanted to copy that blacksmith. I hit copy, and then I go over here and I look at the blacksmith, and I just hit paste, and it would work. Easy peasy. This does the same thing, but you won't be able to copy. Open. This is to save the file. I want to save it. This is for recent past. This is the Genie version. This is where you are saving the file. Make sure this is correct. This is for the string files. It's for your modded string files. And I've never pressed these buttons ever, so you don't need to worry about them. This is where technologies go. You want to make a new technology, it's going to go right here. This is where the effects go. This is the magic. This is the rules. This is where they go. Tech trees. Never messed with this. You don't need to worry about it. Civilizations. This is where your civilizations would go. I currently only have 8. Your game has 42. Um, we will learn how to make our own later. This is where all the units are. There's a lot. There's like 1900. Uh, or so. I don't know how many Age of Empires has, but it's a lot. I've added a couple to make it end at 2084, but there is a bunch. This is where they all go. Movable map revealer, a legionary, a dead legionnaire, archer dead, archer hand cannoneer. Everything basically in the game is right here. This is for Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. This is for your graphics. This is where you would add those SLP files that we were looking at earlier. So I'm looking at my graphics folder, and I'm looking at Lich Dragon Die Dead. So let's see where I've added it. Lich Dying, okay? Oh, here it is. I didn't bother with Dragon Dead. So this is the dragon. When he gets killed, he just falls down and his bones come out a little bit. So it's called Lich Dragon DY underscore X1. We've added it. Lich Dragon Die underscore X1. This is for sprites. I'm not really sure how this works in relation. Men know more about this than me. And I'm not even sure that there's an official guide for this either, so you're going to have to play around with it. Layer. This is where I want to set my layer. This is a 0 for terrain, 5 for shadows and farms, 6 for rubble, etc., 11 for fish. This is a dead dragon. This would fall under 20. Buildings, units, damage flames, mill animation. That falls under units. Transparency pick. Select only on pixels. Select in box. Replay delay. Do you want to replay? Do you want to delay before the picture starts playing? Frames per angle. How many angles are in this picture? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next one. 10 frames per angle. There's 8 angles. Angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, etc. There's 8 of them. This is how long the animation will play in seconds. If I put the number lower or higher, etc. Sequence type, I don't understand what these mean. More men know about this than me. You have to ask them. Mirroring mode. To my understanding, D doesn't use mirroring mode, but it seems that they use it now. So you're gonna have to ask more knowledgeable men than me about this. Never use these at all. I've added a couple pictures. Like if I wanted to add a picture on top of a picture, I would then add a redrawer, and then I would, let's say we wanted to add a picture of a bush on top of this dragon. So I'm gonna look for a bush, 2389. If I wanted to add a graphic of a bush on top of the dragon, 2389, which is forage bush, this is where I would move it inside the picture of the dragon. It doesn't display it on here, but 0, 0 is going to be right here wherever the 0 is. If I put the offset of X or the offset of Y, it would change it on the X offset and the Y offset, so, side by side, up and down. Display angle. This is the angle that you wanted the graphic to display at. Perhaps I wanted it to display at the south at all times. So whichever one that was, whatever direction the south is, this one, I would pick the display angle of the south. So 2. I'll pick 2. Sprite pointer, don't know, don't know, don't know. And then this is where you would add sounds to your angles right here. And then how many sounds were used. I've never added sounds to an angle. Perhaps other men can know more. Map. I've never messed with this myself. You don't need to worry about it. Terrain. This is where all the terrain is. We'll add a new terrain later. But you've got your dirt, your shallows, your farm dead, grass 3, etc., etc. Borders. I have never used this tab. Don't know what it does. And terrain tables. This is where you set the rules of the terrain, like water, what can go, what can build, what can work on water. Water means that farm does not work. Water means that water does work. So you put a 1 on the water. You put a 0 on anything that's not water, etc. This is where you add sounds. Sounds to your game. So you would add a new sound, you would add, then add again, right down here. We want to add the file drone2, it's file name drone2, and we want the probability of 100 right here. So that means it plays 100% of the time that this event happens. If I were to set it at 50%, let's say you triggered the sound activation of drone, but you had your probability at 50, that means it may not play half the time. That's what that means. Colors, never touched it. Maps, never touched this tab. And this is Genie Editor in a nutshell. We're going to add a new technology. We're going to add an effect to this technology. We're going to add some new sieves. We're going to add some new units. We're going to add some new graphics. We're going to add some new terrains. We're going to add some new terrain table rules. We're going to add some new sounds. So stay tuned for more.